Welcome to Total Fitheads.
Serious fitness for not so serious people.
Hello, Max.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Coming off a holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. We talked about Murph last episode.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've watched the Murph video.
The Murph
Little
of
rough.
Us, you've watched it back, yes.
The one of us doing the beer Murph, beer mile.
Yeah.
Little rough.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was funny, but I could see myself. I could see a look in my own eyes being like, oh boy, he's tired.
Yeah, it didn't give me that feeling looking back on my Snapchats sometimes where I'm like, should not have posted that. Or the kind of thing where you feel like, oh, that's the reason why we black out, because none of this is of value.
Yeah.
But I was watching, I was cracking up at you. The one part where I start talking about grammar and then you're like, yeah, dumb, and then just jump back into pull-ups. I died every time.
There was, yeah. I kept laughing at the people in the background. Like they were just, we'd be making absolute fools of ourselves. Spraying beer on our face, doing a push up and getting dirt in my own face. And then some poor soul, like, just like, does a couple of pull-ups and then, like, leaves.
Or the little kid that high-fived me.
Yeah, that was super cute.
Love it.
Anyway, it was fun. It ended up being bitter. The edit was great. The video was great. It's way better than actually doing it. I couldn't believe how many people were like, yeah, like, I'll do it with you next time. And I was like, no, you won't, my man.
Dang it, so you're not in again. I watched that back and I was like, wow, how fun. We just did an activity and it was a video. And the video made me laugh out loud. That it felt like a bygone era of YouTube where we could just do things and enjoy it with a group of people together watching.
Can't
do that anymore.
Bring it back then.
I can't. You won't do beer Murphs with me.
Well, I'm saying that I won't do it now, but I feel like if you rag on me for 340 days or whatever.
No, I'm talking about starting a beer Murph channel. I'll do it once a week.
Oh my God. I don't know about a beer Murph channel. I think you got to come up with something a little bit more manageable. That was a 2-hour extravaganza.
No, it was only 1 hour and 53 minutes and 56 seconds.
Right. You saw that thing I sent you that Zuckerberg he did regular Murph, not beer Murph.
Fitheads, the thing he's referencing is a screenshot of potentially Mark Zuckerberg, potentially an AI generated Mark Zuckerberg in a weighted vest.
Right.
And the caption is that he did Murph in under 40 minutes. Mark Zuckerberg.
I think it's like 5 or 6 minutes off the record, isn't it? It was really fast.
We're talking about the king nerd, right? Our Royal Highness, his nerdiness, Mark Zuckerberg.
Sir Zuckles.
Sir Zuckles. That's messed up.
You think he didn't do it? He entered a jiu-jitsu tournament the other day, and I saw a video of that. Although I guess that it all could be AI generated at this point. You could be AI generated as far as I can tell.
Yeah, we're just in a freaking simulation. I'm a brain in a vat. But if you could pick your body, you would pick this one.
Would I pick that one? I'd probably want to be a little bit taller than you.
You are. Oh, I'm so mad that I fell for that right now.
Just sloshing around. But that is to say that Murph is, I don't know if it's like gaining popularity. I feel like Murph has been very popular for years and years now, hasn't it?
I mean, I first heard of it now 7 years ago because I did one Murph before I filmed. Maybe even more. It was the first time I joined a CrossFit gym that I heard about Murph.
Mm-hmm.
And it was absolutely news to me. It wasn't like, oh, that's the thing that I always hear about. it was like, this is new and it's a CrossFit community thing.
Right. Is that why they name all their workouts people names?
Yeah, they're named after veterans.
So those are real people, not just weird names. Cindy and Fran and all these people.
And I believe I read that Greg Glassman said that he made all of the really hard ones named after women because women are super tough, something like that. I know.
That's true. They are a lot harder. As far as I can remember, the girl named workouts are a lot harder, although I'm not, that might be anecdotal. I guess I'd have to pull them up.
Pull them up? No, do them.
Yeah, they're hard like for me to conceptualize, not for me to do. They're easy for me to do. I just don't do them.
Now, reading a workout is tough. Looking at everything written out and figuring out, is this a sprint? Is this a chipper? Are we grinding away at this? Or where's the rest portion, aka holding a plank or
What's
whatever?
The hard part? What's the easy part?
What's going to hold you back? Like, I forgot that what holds you back in Murph is the 100 pull-ups. It's the least amount of reps.
Yeah, it's just the hardest part.
Well, and I guess for the longest time in my life, push-ups were impossible. I couldn't do a full rep until very recently. And so that sounds hard, but now the push-ups are also the rest because the pull-ups are still so hard.
I think for me, it's all pretty hard. I mean, clearly the pull-ups are hard, whatever. Squats, I don't know. One thing I was wondering was, especially after watching this back, and especially after going to the CrossFit semifinals, was like watching my own Murph back was a lot of like, ooh, is that a rep? I think that's probably good. But if I was one of those like super referee counter people, I wouldn't argue a couple times being for them to do that. No rep, whatever the thing they do.
Yeah.
And then putting that weird hand thing and then counting down with their fingers and stuff like that.
We need one of those next time. Like when I spit some beer out because I'm laughing at you, no rep, and I have to start over with a new beer.
They make you run a 7-Eleven and grab a new 18-pack. No rep. It's like in dodgeball,
Speaking of refs, saw a bunch of those this past weekend.
Right.
We went to the CrossFit Semifinals in Pasadena, specifically those, because there are a bunch of other ones in different cities.
And that used to be regionals, right? And now it's semifinals, or is that?
And it was
still regionals.
No, well, now it's semifinals. It used to be regionals, and then it was semifinals before that. It's changed a lot often.
Why?
I don't know. There's a lot of flux. Capacities. I think our most listened podcast on YouTube specifically is still when we brought on Andre Cruz to talk about.
Oh my God. That was CrossFit amazing.
Being a dumpster fire. Yeah. Because they had that whole blow up and PR nightmare
scandal. Yeah. I was talking about when he was his episode was incredible. Remember when he just pulled up a dog out of nowhere?
Yeah. A 70-pound dog.
Where'd he come from? And then when he was talking about how he what did he get? Fittest trainer in New York or in the world or in the country or the Northeast regionals or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was incredible.
I was just watching one of his Instagrams and he was talking through, he was doing like a Tough Mudder or something like that kind of obstacle course. And they're supposed to carry a cement brick back and forth or whatever, but he grabbed 2. And his argument, he was like, well, we're supposed to carry them, but I grabbed 2 because exercise.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good reason to grab 2.
You ever watch The Challenge? You got to watch The Challenge. MTV's The Challenge.
No.
Have I told you about how much I love that show?
You have, which is so weird. It seems so not a show.
Well, it's not a show. It's a sport. In fact, it's the greatest sport this country has ever produced. And a lot of times what they do is...
wrestling wasn't invented here?
I would say it's the greatest sport the world has ever produced, ever in
Okay.
the history of humanity. Because not
Go
only is
on.
it a lot of challenges, they do daily physical challenges. You also live in the same house together, so it's a mental warfare.
Ah, yes, it's like jujitsu chess.
So then, yeah, well, but then it's also strategery because you have to find other people and, politicize and politic your way. And so who's voting in who? Because you vote in somebody to go into like, typically what they do is everybody's in the house. You're sort of in either teams or pairs or singles or whatever. You do a daily challenge, which is very similar to, well, it's not like CrossFit because it's weird and they have to do it for TV. So like instead of like running a mile, they have you like run and jump from one moving truck to another, or
What?
instead of like
It's like action
swimming,
hero stuff?
yeah, they'll like drop you out of a helicopter into a lake and then you have to swim or something like stupid like that. Or like when you finally hit the button to finish, explosions go off, or you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. But they also do a lot of mental stuff. So like they'll put a puzzle on a bunch of like imagine a wall full of cinder blocks and then somebody drew a mural on one side and then they knocked all the cinder blocks over and then you have to take all the cinder blocks like 50 yards that way and reassemble them into the mural that was, and so it's a lot of interesting just thinking strategery stuff like that.
Okay.
And this most recent um the most recent final physical challenge, um, the guys had to do that specific thing. They had to take one cinder block from here and put it over here and recreate a mural. And it was so interesting because it was so hard. And the guys are like dragging all the cinder blocks, trying to figure it out. And then the other guys like they're trying to like make up the mural. And it's like, it's a mental game. It's a puzzle, right? Mental puzzle, but you're also exhausted because you just dragged all the
Physically
cinder
moving the
blocks
puzzle
over.
pieces. That's cool.
They did another one. Oh my god, this is the hardest one. They did one where like, it's hard to explain. There was like a giant metal door, okay, on the ground. It doesn't go to anywhere. It's just a big metal rectangle, right?
Okay.
And on one end, it's sort of wedged, and then on the other end, it's a rope. And so if you pull, you can sort of pull the door open just a touch, but the door is incredibly heavy.
Yeah.
So one guy's pulling with all he can, like a tug of war style, and he's leaning back, he's pulling as hard as he can, and the other guy's on the other side looking under the door as it opens up, and there's just a big, like, bunch of different colored shapes, like red triangle, white square, blue circle, blah blah blah, in like a mosaic kind of, and then the guy would hold it for as long as he could, and then he'd let go and slam the door shut. And then the other person had to remember all this stuff. Then they both had to run up a mountain and recreate the mural that they saw from puzzle pieces on like a Velcro wall. And then once they
What?
couldn't remember anything more, they could run all the way back down, and then the guy could pull it up again, and the other person could remember it. Isn't that
Whoa.
so hard? Like,
Bizarre.
it's crazy how hard these puzzles are, and they just made them up just for this like random MTV show.
Yeah, you know what's harder than the challenge is writing for the challenge. Who's coming up with these things? Because
Right?
that show is garbage without it being that good of a puzzle.
I know. And you also have to think of like, okay, well, what can they actually do?
And they have to
Yeah,
test it out and see how physically fit you have to be and have it just
right?
bad enough.
Can't be impossible,
Right.
but
it can't be too easy.
It can't be too easy. And also
It
the
has
people
to
that are
look
going
great
on
on
the
camera.
challenge has to look great on camera. The people that go on the challenge have been going on it for like a couple of years now, minimum, or they've been watching it for a couple of years, so they know all these like sort of tips and tricks and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's the greatest sport that we've ever created. It's so difficult. It's so involved, and a lot of times, like what they'll do is the contestants are really smart too. So they'll be like, okay, I realized that like the way they set up this puzzle, if I was a producer, I would set it up like this so that the winner would run this way. And so that's what I'm just going to think is going to happen. So then he would go and like do that. And then they're right all the time. So they're not only thinking about like the puzzle, they're thinking about the guy who made the puzzle and how it's for TV. Do you know what I mean? So it's another level of these guys are just trying to like figure it out. It's just such a great show. I love that show so much. And they're so mean to each other.
You on it.
I think I'm past my prime. Not only do you have to be like in your low to mid 20s to really crush, you have to be able to like drink 1,000 beers and party all night, because that's what they used to do all night. Or sometimes they'd let them go to bars and like party at clubs in like the early 2000s. This was pretty normal, but now because it's like such a bigger show, they just make them stay on at the house. And then there was a couple of years when they were doing that, and they would just give them like gallons and gallons of wine and like vodka and whiskey and stuff like that, and they would just have house parties all the time. It was crazy. Anyway, it's a great show. You should. I think you can stream all 30 seasons online somewhere, because
30 seasons? How have I never even really heard about this?
It's so spectacular.
That's crazy.
The challenges are amazing.
Yeah, I can't imagine coming up with that many challenges.
And so when they do a final, like the final, it'll be like run up half a mountain, doing a crazy difficult puzzle, eat all the weird gross stuff that they used to have on like Fear Factor level food stuff like that. That's how gross it is. And then like run up another end of the mountain, and then like betray your best friend. You know what I mean? It's like so involved. It's just it's incredible. It's just such a great test of horrible cunning. I don't know.
And the prize is what, fitness. Like 10K?
The prize has grown significantly. It used to be, like 10K, and then it was like 30, and I was like, whoa. And then I think it was $1 million. The most recent was either $500,000 or $1 million. I can't remember, or like $1 million split between 2 or 3, or I can't remember how it went. But
that's significant. Although you think about the budget for that show, and that's probably 1% of it. You know how ridiculous.
Well, and you also think about, I'm pretty sure now they do like appearance payment.
Oh yeah, right.
You know, sure. It's not really like the old Survivors where you just go on and give a month of your life. Now I think Survivor, they're like, we'll make it worth your while so you can take a month off of work, or 2 months off of work, or whatever it is, and because they want everybody to be able to do it. But it's a great show. We should do some of those challenges. That's a good idea.
I'm in. You hold the door. I'll remember the shapes.
That's good, because I don't remember anything. I barely remember we had to record today.
Here we are. Do you remember what happened in the semifinals?
I remember. Okay, so the semifinals was actually pretty fun. I don't know if I've been to a real CrossFit or official CrossFit.
Sorry, Beer Murph doesn't count.
No. I don't think I've gone to an event with the actual contestants and bracelets and fans and stuff like that. Obviously, I've been to a CrossFit box before. I've seen you do CrossFit quite a bit. But this was fun. It was at a convention center. They had the whole floor set up. It was like just like you see on TV, only we were right there,
Yeah.
What'd you think of what'd you think of the feeling when you walked in? Because when I remember going in and being like, oh, it's a convention like any other convention. Here's some booths, and they're selling me funny t-shirts or funny
hilarious chalk.
Yeah, exactly. Or funny protein or energy drinks, or this is a cool jump rope, or blah blah blah. But that was funny, because that was like the other side of it. Whereas when we walked into the actual like competition floor, the arena, then I was like, oh, that's some energy.
It was crazy.
Oh, I can feel that.
Yeah, dropping 300 pounds from overhead. You definitely feel it. And I'm surprised now, thinking back, that's a convention center that they use for things like D&D. And it's just a cement floor, and they were letting them drop like that.
It felt like they put some kind of padding down, didn't it? Not very
Sure,
thick,
but still.
yeah.
Also, no, because if it's squishy, that would affect the performance of the athletes. So they have to have a certain
Right. Not
non-rebounding floor.
not squishy. Like that hard foam, not puzzle, or maybe it was puzzle pieces. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Like at the gym when they have those puzzle foams.
I don't know. I have horse mats in my gym. Horse stall mats.
Horse stall mats. That's right. I remember looking into those. Didn't you get those for?
Yeah, I got a bunch of them.
Your gym? Your garage?
That's how I made my platform too.
Right.
There's horse stall mats along the sides.
That was big during 2020 when everyone decided to make their own home gyms.
Mm-hmm.
There was a run on puzzle foam squares. It was like all the like the super colorful ones that you get for babies. Only all the meatheads were just like buying them to crush weights on. And then it turns out that horse stall mat was the cheapest and best approach, right? Or is that
crazy that it was the cheapest and also the best in terms of the type of response that you want?
Yeah.
They smelled like crap for a while though. I had to leave them out in the yard. Not actual crap like horse crap. They smell like toxic fumes from the rubber.
Like rubber right out of the kiln. It's not a kiln.
Right out of the tree. What?
Right out of the earth. That's what I remember that. They were like, they're great. You have to air them out or you will die. Not die, but not be able to breathe and then die.
Right. Yeah. But it was definitely non-convention-y once you got in there, shaking the floor whenever they were throwing weights around. It was crazy.
We watched individuals and we watched teams. What did you think? What did you prefer?
Individuals, no question.
Really?
For a second, teams was like, cool, they're friends. And then I moved on because I couldn't identify myself as the protagonist in that story because I have no friends.
Interesting. Okay.
It was unrelatable.
They did that thing. It's funny. If you ever go back and watch the very first CrossFit competitions, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to set up the floor.
Yeah, and they're just sort of running around in the bush.
Yeah, you're just sort of counting, and that guy's counting, but they definitely figured out a way to like make it look like a race, like who's moving forward physically. It's easier for someone to follow who's winning.
Yeah, if they have the ladder that they make. Yeah. So wait, are you saying that you liked teams better?
I liked teams. I guess I didn't really think about teams. It was sort of it's an afterthought until I saw them in person, and they're talking to each other, and they're like, "You're up, bro. All right, you got this." But they're like so tired that they can't really cheer each other on.
Yeah.
Or they're like sort of just clapping at each other, like pointing to like, "You go, go, go." You know, they're so exhausted. I thought that was really funny.
And the timing, they had to lift this worm. This is a big, long, floppy log of weight, like a sandbag that looks like 4 people can put on their shoulders.
A sandbag the size that's sort of 2 punching bags stacked on top of each other, right? It's like that length, only it's soft sand, so they can all pick it up on their shoulder and then do squats with it. I'm assuming it's like the log that the SEALs use, or they do.
Where did that come from? It's got to be imitating something from nature. No, see, it seems functional, like, oh, we used to lift logs as cave people or something, but it's a floppy log, so I don't know.
I think there's like naval I'm sure all of the military branches have their own like incredibly hard tryout week. The ones I'm picturing in my mind are, I think it's the SEALs, where they're like sitting on the shore and they do flutter kicks, only they're also getting blasted with waves every so often, or they're all carrying a log and then they have to like run into the ocean and then turn around and run out, or they're holding it above their head and somebody's like spraying them in the face with a hose.
Are you sure you're not talking about the challenge again?
Yeah, maybe it's it's on MTV. Wait a minute, no, it's on
yeah, so that thing, do you remember a couple of years ago, maybe more, they introduced the pig. They called it
No,
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't
Go ahead,
remember. What is
Google
this?
the pig. It's just a giant thing. It's you kind of attack it like a tire in the sense that you deadlift it and shove it over, but it's
Yeah.
a huge mass.
It's either it's a big rectangle or a big tube cylinder or a big. There's another one that looks like a sled, kind of. Is that the pig? That's the pig. Oh my god.
I don't think I've seen the sled thing. I'm thinking of the big red box.
Yeah. So they did a different one. They've created a new one. It looks like, which is a big red box. Same outer shape where you would pick it up, but it has racks
Plates in it.
inside where you can place I'm sorry,
Uh,
holes inside where you can place plates. If that makes any sense.
yeah. Which I guess, yeah, back when cave people were pushing around perfectly 90-degree angled objects.
Yeah, rocks.
Yeah,
Rockish.
square rocks when they were making Stonehenge. That's it. That's what it was
Yeah.
like.
That's what the aliens did. They just they deadlifted it, you know what I mean?
So I'm hoping they introduce some stupid new equipment every year.
The squid.
The squid, it's just really floppy. It's like a sandbag, but 8 of them all sewn together.
Yeah. And then if you
The
hold it
squid is
wrong, it'll
6.
squirt oil into your face or ink into your face.
Yeah. What about the strongman ones have crazy equipment too, which is not really crazy, right? It's kind of based on lifting a log over your head, but it's a log with 2 handles in the middle, and you bring it to your chest or roll it up your chest and then overhead press it.
Or the boulders. Have you seen that? That was my favorite event in
Yeah,
Strongman. Where they have different sized
just a
boulders and they have to
ball
pick each one up and it gets harder and harder.
and set it up on a pedestal.
Yeah. And the last boulder is like incredibly heavy. And you see these giant guys struggling with it. But all the
Mm.
boulders look kind of similar. So you're like, dude, you just did this 9 times in a
Yeah, what
row.
the
Like,
heck?
how hard is this? This is ridiculous.
And they
The other
all
one I
have to
really
curve over the ball, right? Their back's all curved. And every time people are like, you just deadlift with a perfectly straight back. I'm like, no, you don't.
uh-uh. You just have to get the boulder off the ground
Yeah.
and onto the thing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? Oh, the other thing that was actually I thought was kind of interesting about, and we talked about this while we were there, was remember when they would do one where they would have to do snatches and then a run, and then but they did the run on a slew of treadmills that were all in the same line next to each other, and it was actually really interesting because they were racing, but you couldn't really tell where anybody else was in the race. You sort of had a general
Sort of.
idea
In the
because
audience, maybe. The
the
people
guy was
competing definitely couldn't tell.
That's what I mean. The people competing, it's not like you look over and you're like, wow, I'm way ahead or way behind to that person. You're all in the same line. It's just you're on treadmills. And so whoever gets to 800 meters first wins, but you can't really tell, oh, he's killing me. I'll be cool. Or like, oh, we're neck and neck. If I just push right now, I'm gonna pull ahead. I thought it was such a weird
You know.
mind mush on like how to do what's essentially a running race. You know what I mean?
And
And
they've
that
done them where you leave the arena and run out and come back in. And this one very specifically was on what are they called? The treadmill that's kind of a half
curve
circle.
curvy
Yeah.
treadmills.
It really hammers home that they're testing each other on working out.
Ugh,
It's like, oh yeah, you're just in a gym on a treadmill working out. You're being the best worker outer.
yeah,
Not the fastest runner, the best worker outer.
but it's stupid too because I know I've done that. I've got on a treadmill and someone has gotten on right next to me, and then I've been like, I'm gonna beat this guy, and I'll be like, I'll run, and I'm like, we'll be running. I'm like, I'm not getting off this treadmill before he does, and then I'll win air quotes, and I'll get off, or he'll get off, and I'll be still running. I'll be like, yeah, smoked him, and then I look over, and he's like a higher incline, a faster speed. You know what I mean? His
Yeah.
run was way more difficult than mine, but I like
Right.
stayed working longer, you know?
Yeah. Tortoise
It
in the
just
hair.
it reeked of that, like, oh, you're stupid. You know what I mean? You're just like you're not able to conceptualize this in the appropriate way. At least that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
That thing is called either a curved treadmill or, I hate to say it, assault runner.
Runner. They're
They just
cool
gotta
though.
put they gotta put assault in there just to make it like
Rub salt in the wound.
right. Very good. Well, the
Yep.
assault bike, the assault runner. We got to make it
Did
somehow
they invent
manly
it though?
or tough. Oh, I don't know.
They because it's just a brand, and there's an Aerodyne bike or whatever. I don't even know if that's a
Right.
brand.
Aerodyne.
Aerodyne, that's it.
I think it's actually just called a curved treadmill. But it's like a Kleenex isn't Kleenex, it's a facial tissue.
Correct.
Right?
And they're doing a bad job of defending their mark. It's diluted is the term.
But anyway, so I thought the race was really funny. But as silly as that was, the snatches were incredible. The overhead lifts,
Oh my goodness.
we had like front row for that, and that was, they were so heavy and they were just flying all over the place. It was nuts.
Yeah. And it was after, so there was one where they would do as many snatches as they could at a set weight and then run, and whoever finished the run first wins. And then there was one where they ran as fast as they could, and after they were tired, then snatched as heavy as they could. So it wasn't just, oh, how heavy can you snatch?
That was all in one thing, remember?
Oh yeah, and then there's a pause in between, right? That's all
heavy
sort of
snatch,
A and B.
run, and then you get a minute to chill, and then those same people had to come back and do a standard weight, but like 10 times, and then back on the curved treadmill.
Right.
So that was all one giant workout, which is ugh.
Right.
I would have died at any quarter of that.
I mean, my snatch would have been, I don't know, 55 because it's after the run. That's what's crazy. It's not who's the best, heaviest Olympic lifter. It's who still has ATP energy left in their body after having ran for what, 400 meters? 800?
800.
800.
I think it was 800 on either end of it.
That's so crazy. And one guy lifted 325 pounds and the crowd was going freaking nuts because it's also on a time limit, right? So they're counting down 10 seconds left. People are, attempting, resting. You're trying to figure out how many tries you should fit in the amount of time you have left.
Right.
And he was down the last second.
That was fun too.
Going wild.
He did it right at the last second. And I think it's when it's like 3, 2, 1, you can begin the lift, right? It must be how it is. And then he nailed it. It's kind of like end.
Shooting basketball. Once you take the shot,
right. Once it's out of your hands, the clock can expire. But it was fun because it was definitely, the crowd was really into it. The crowd knew what was going on. Everybody knew he had to push it here. He had to and it's funny too because they're like, oh man, only 15 seconds left, and you see him and he's just like hands on his hips, breathing, chalking up, and you're like, dude, you gotta go. You know what I mean? Like, you're into it, and everybody. It was really fun in that aspect of it because it is just lifting weights. It's not. But they put a clock on it, and they put, they create a competition and a sense of urgency, and then suddenly it was really fun.
And for anybody who doesn't know, a snatch is taking a barbell full of weight from the ground to over your head in one movement. And he did 325 pounds. It's crazy. And he, by the way, I looked it up, is Tudor Magda. Wait for it. He's not old enough to drink. This guy is 20.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we're both cool in our own way because I can order a cocktail.
Yeah. He can snatch 325 pounds after an 800-meter run.
That's incredible. That's so funny.
Ugh.
So that was really fun. I did like, I was telling you when we were there too, like the intensity and the nervous energy is palpable in the arena like that. we left and I was like, why am I exhausted? We didn't do any, you know what I mean? We walked out of the arena. I'm like, I'm tired. I was just standing there for an hour. But you can really feel the intensity is, it's transferable, I guess, or I don't know what it is, but it tires you out way more than you think it's gonna.
Oh yeah, I said they should do it carpeted next time. I felt very rattled. The noise level.
I know, it was loud.
But also, you didn't just sit there. We're bearing the lead here.
Right.
We also did one of the workouts. There's this thing called the Throwdown where you can sign up to use the competition equipment and do one of the competition workouts scaled as needed because they let any chump like us in. And of course, I signed Max up.
I know, and I of course, unfortunately, had a couple of cocktails the night before, so I was very tired and very sort of not athletic feeling.
You crushed
but it was okay. We did okay. We got through it. I hadn't taken a CrossFit class in a while.
Yeah, same.
And I forgot how like the instructors talk to you like you're a kindergartner.
I know. Well, I feel like they weren't sure who was going to be signing up for this. So when I signed up, I was like, this feels like, the experiential thing where would you like to try immersive CrossFit, kids? This is what it's like. Because there was also a kids entry and you get a t-shirt and I said to Max, anybody who's going to be doing this that would be good at it is competing. They're not doing this silly little throwdown.
Right.
And then I get a text from Nathan Lazinski, who we've had on this podcast, the massive chiropractor who went to regionals one year, saying that he was going to do the throwdown.
Literally, like the round before we did.
This dude is extremely fit and intimidating, and he was doing that workout, so that completely changed the mindset of what we were going into. Although, I don't know if the coaches knew that they were going to get a bunch of very good CrossFitters attending, as opposed to just people they needed to teach how to snatch.
Just dorks. Yeah.
So you feel like they talk to you in a certain way.
They talked to everybody. Remember? We were doing the snatch, and then they're like, okay, everybody, now we're going to grab a dumbbell. This is a dumbbell. It's the one with the handle. Okay, everybody grab it. Good. Okay, up. We don't want to go too fast. Remember, you did one, and she was like, you're jumping ahead.
Yeah, I got
And I'm like,
scolded.
this is what happens when you're teaching someone. Allie's done thousands of, like, all these people have done this before. Some people more than others, sure, but like, look around, read the room, lady. Like, I don't know. It was weird. It was just a little like, yeah, you're right. I skipped ahead of this thing that I've already done, I
didn't realize I was even doing it. I was just trying to find the right weight, which I don't know. If they're telling us we can scale, they didn't have anything below a 35-pound dumbbell, which was very challenging for me.
Right? And they only had like
single arm snatches, dumbbell snatch.
There was a jump from like 30. I don't think they had 40 or 45, or if they did, they only had.
But they had 70, which Nathan used.
They had a ton of 70s, and I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Like don't pretend like this is like an official super serious workout if I'm just like sort of diddling around on it. But anyway, I maybe I needed to read the room a little bit more because everyone else was like super pumped to be there. And then when they said go, these guys went bonkers. Like everybody in our heat was like, out of my way, Yep. I'm like, geez, okay, all right, let's chill. I was still putting my feet into the rowing machine.
I'm still turning on the GoPro.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I filmed the whole thing, by the way. We have a Fitness Outrageous filmed vlog of the whole experience, so check that out. Coming soon to the YouTube channel.
In the can.
Also, it was kind of a team thing because they only had certain lanes and we had to share lanes, so they partnered us with 2 other people. It was just, a dad. And then the dad popped his shirt off and he was more jacked than Nathan Lazinski. What the heck?
Yeah, he was super dad for sure. He was incredible.
My goodness. Chiseled. Very strong man.
Yeah, he was like Omni Man. It was what was funny though was that it was like the way the workout was split up, you had sort of 2 rounds, and so they did 2 lanes. And so the first lane would be the rower, and then the second lane would be the skier. And they didn't really need groups of 4. They just like it's easier to do it that way for them. Whereas it's easier for us to just like find an open lane and run to another one. But they were like, nope, your time is the 4 of you, not the 2 of you.
Yeah.
And again, I was like, this makes sense if we're in your gym, your box or whatever that you're running, everything's super serious and everything's like, and there's a prize for the fastest time, which there wasn't, or like, or there,
which there was,
or you're keeping track of it seriously, which no one was, or like you just went up and wrote your time on the whiteboard afterwards. And I was like, all right, well, everyone else did it in 15 minutes. Why don't I just say I did it in 30 seconds and win the prize? Oops, there's no prize. Oops, because it doesn't matter. Oops, because it's not important. Oops, because we're having fun, not like going overboard, ultra serious. I don't know. I think that's, again, my old qualms with CrossFit sort of reemerged a little bit. The official CrossFit classes reemerged a little bit.
And what happened when you were snatching?
She told me the weight wasn't moving fast enough. She was like, "You're doing it wrong. Your hips got to move." And I was like, "Oh, I was joking. You're right." And I was like, and I'm just like, I get it. Like, I thank you for trying to teach me something that I'm not really trying to do right now. Whatever. Let's just move on. Like, I was like, I got it. I'll just keep flying.
Yeah. I did kind of learn ski erg, but that's just because it's the first time I'd ever done it. And so, of course, there's the learning curve is going to go pretty quickly because as soon as you touch it, you're going to get better. Just seeing one person do it helps.
Well, the way they taught you to do it, I'm not sure that's the most efficient way. What they said was you don't bend your knees, you hinge at the waist.
Yeah, they were saying shoot your hips back and ski erg. If anybody doesn't know, it's kind of like a rower but up in the air, and you ski and pulling the resistance down.
You have 2 handles sort of above your head, and you pull them straight down, and then they pull themselves back up, and then you do it again. It is a rowing machine, with where the seat would be up in the air, and clearly someone just tipped it up in the air and like stapled 2 grips to an old rowing machine, and then just started pulling it down. Yeah. And then somewhere was like, oh, that's a different machine that we can mass produce, and sell. Yeah, that's it. Let's make those. Let's definitely make those.
Let's make a big red box for people to roll around.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not sure that's the fastest way to do it. I mean, to say that you shouldn't just like bend your knees and drop all your weight, that's a fast way to do it too. Maybe you'll burn your grip out or whatever, but will you? I don't know. I mean, who knows? What they were explaining didn't knock my socks off, but it was fun. I'm glad we did it.
It was tough.
It was tough. It was really tough. Burpees,
I was pushing to not get last. I was holding you back, obviously.
Anytime you do the burpees. No, we didn't finish last because we finished before our partners. And so if anything, the partners were holding us back. And anytime you do burpees, it's really tough. The box jump, again, I was really, that was it's funny. This thing was just like a total microcosm of my entire CrossFit experience, which is like, I don't like the way the trainers talk to you. I think like everything's too heavy. They don't have the right equipment. They don't explain to you how to do it very well. They over explain some things, they under explain other things, and some things they explain wrong. And then the box jump, to me, that was one where I was like we were jumping, the box height was too high for me. And so I could jump it, but coming back down, I felt was a little dangerous, and I was like landing too hard on my foot, and I didn't want to twist my knee and whatever. But it's a race, so you got to do it fast, right? So in theory, like the height was fine, but getting down was somewhat dangerous, and I didn't want to twist my ankle or knee or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, we'll just take this top layer off. We'll lower the height a little bit. And I remember thinking, like, if I was in a real CrossFit scenario, they'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Just jump it. Come on, man, you're killing it. Just crush it, bro. You got this, And I would probably be like, I am a bro and I do got this. And then and then I'd twist my knee or whatever. And then I'd be out for 6 months and blah, blah, blah. So I had no reservations about being like, let's take this thing off. I don't want to jump this high, especially if I have to step down that fast every time.
And let me tell you, fitheads, the height that he was concerned about he was doing repeatedly and then being like, oh, I don't want to hurt my knees, is the height that I failed twice in warm up and then only eked out once. I didn't even film that part of it, but I was able to barely get to the top of it, and he was doing it 10 times in a row. So right, it was pretty high. I don't think I've seen that height in a workout before.
The footage of you failing, it's lost. Something happened to the footage. We'll never find that footage.
I love a good fail. It's great for a video. Don't act like I hide my fails. I have an entire channel of fails.
That's true. The beer Murph could be considered one big fail.
Yeah, right.
Because we did it.
Or my muscle up, which we talk about repeatedly, and I got muscle up coaching at the regionals.
That was really fun.
Excuse me, semifinals.
The regional semifinals. the semi-regionals finals.
So in the other vendor booth area where Max was talking about, we saw they were selling protein and jump ropes and a pig that you could push on wheels. What was that?
That was crazy. That was another pig sled. That was a pig
robotic sled.
So it's like a sled where you put plates on it, and it has 2 vertical poles that you sort of put both your palms on, and then you lean into it and you push it forward. Any sort of a sled, everybody knows what that is, or people have seen a million of those before. This one was like it had its own wheels and some sort of mechanism to make it one of the wheels lock up, or all of the wheels lock up, or any combination that the thing wanted. And so it could make it really difficult, like heavy, but still pushing straight, or it could make it really uneven. So I think what it would do is it would completely lock one of the wheels and not one of the other ones. And so if you're pushing straight really, really with a lot of force, all of a sudden your left side flies forward and your right side is stuck in the sand, and vice versa. And then it would like sort of unpredictably squabble either way. And it was incredibly difficult, I thought. Or it was incredibly novel. I think probably, give me an afternoon, I might get a little bit more used to it. Or I don't really know. But it was fun. And I remember looking at it being like, that's kind of dumb. And then it was like, you want to try it? And I was like, yes. Yeah. And then it was like a lot less dumb than I thought, just because I tried it.
A lot less dumb than I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I met you. So the interesting thing was that the harder you pushed, the harder the robot braked on you.
The more you push, the more resistance it created somehow.
Yeah. And he said there are spots for weights, but you don't need weights. It's the robot is controlling how heavy it is because it was braking at however much it needed to resist you. It was cool.
It was really cool, really interesting. Also, I wanted to be like, so is this like a remote control car? Can you just like send me around the corner if I sit in the middle of it?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Can you zip me down to the Starbucks and grab a coffee real quick? I'll be right back.
And then you have to push it back.
Yeah, but I'll have the coffee. So.
Okay, so in that demo room, they also had a big old rig, like you would see at a gym, where they had some rings hanging to do muscle ups. And we signed a waiver, and I got personalized instruction on muscle ups. And the coach opened my instruction by saying, it's a combination of 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
It is the false grip. It is the strength to do it. It is the strength to do a dip. It is the transition. And then it is the strength to do a pull-up. Yeah. And so we went through all the 4 things, and then he said, you have all 4 of the things.
I know.
And yet I still did not get my muscle up that day.
But you seemed real close.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. He was a very eye contact first name kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of eye contact, a lot of repeating your first name when he says things, which I know people find, or I think psychologically, aren't you supposed to find it like comforting or something when
Yeah,
someone
it's in
says
that
your
book,
first
How
name?
to Make Friends and Win Friends and Influence People.
Manipulate
Yeah.
weirdos. How to
Well,
manipulate like a weirdo.
yeah,
I
exactly.
find the opposite. I find when people use my first name repeatedly at the end of sentences,
It sounds like they
I
read that book
bingo. That
and are trying
Allie,
to
I'm so glad you said that, Allie. Because
yeah.
Allie, that's exactly what I mean, Allie. You
Oh my
know, and
God,
I'm
Tony
like,
Robbins, shut up.
and maybe if I didn't know about the book, maybe I'd feel differently. But
It totally is though. People like that read that book and go, awesome, I'm gonna own the world, and then just say people's names.
yeah, you're right, Allie. Allie, I think you're onto something there, Allie. Allie. Yeah. But anyway, he was really nice. It was nice. He gave you a couple did he give you some homework or no? Did he give you a couple drills to do?
Yeah, no,
But it
I
was the ones you
mean,
knew before, right? Or is it
I was
something
already
else?
doing, yeah, it's just
Okay.
more of the same, I guess. Yeah. It's crazy because he couldn't adjust anything that I was doing. And he also said I had the strength to do it. There was nothing missing except the muscle up.
I think, but it must be, yeah, I don't know what it is. In my mind, I guess my first thought would be the transition, the strength to do the transitions. That's what it feels like to me.
But that's like all four things, which
Right.
he said I have,
Well, that's
which
what I
I know,
mean.
I get it. I know exactly what I'm missing and I'm working on it. It's just like the tiniest little scapular retraction at the top
Right.
or whatever. I don't
Well,
know. He does I guess it was a good help to see and hear him say it just because it's strict doesn't mean you don't use momentum. And
yeah.
so that because I have it in my head that you just like slowly climb up over the rings, but when he was doing his own even, he would sort of whip through right to his
Hmm.
chest and use that momentum to push through the sticking point. So
Yeah, that's fair. And maybe, yeah, maybe you would have done it if you used a little bit more momentum. Maybe you already
I
have
know,
it.
and that was another thing I'm bummed about that it was like, well, okay, time's up, and I didn't get a chance to just really hang from the rings and try
Play
it.
around. Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to let you do. But I thought when we signed the waiver, they'd be like, all right, let me know when you're done.
Yeah,
But
oh, you just like go play in
it
the
was the
jungle
guy
gym.
being like, hey, man, how's it going? You know,
That was another thing because he spoke to me like a toddler and was like, okay, have you ever done a pull-up before? And then
that's,
he made me do a pull-up and he was like, okay, that was a really good pull-up. Moving on. What the
and you
heck,
said,
dude? I
but you
could have.
repeated to him like 15 times, like, this is what I've done. I've done it for a year. I've done all these variations. I've tried this, and this. And he was like, I'm not listening. I'm gonna do my checklist
My
of whatever.
progression. Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
why when we got done with your lesson, and he was like, "Do you have any other questions?" I was like, "Well, I'm trying to do a muscle up." And he's like, "Joe, show me." I could see it, and I was like, "I don't want to be here for another 25 minutes of like explaining to you step by step everything I've already done 10 times." You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe
And
it's a liability thing that
it
he's not
probably
allowed to let
is.
me go on the rings until he sees a good pull-up or whatever.
I don't know. I think it's a coaching thing. I think they like have their way of
Yeah.
coaching and the
Well,
way
you're
that
gonna hurt
they've been
yourself if you
taught
don't
to
have a good
coach.
pull-up before you blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can be like, I do have a good pull up. Here it is, like, or, and then if you believe me on the pull up thing, then maybe you'll believe me when I tell you other things, without having to step by step show you everything. And maybe it is that he needs to see it. But honestly, it did seem like he wasn't listening to you at all when you were like, and I mean, you have the tape, go back and watch the tape. You were like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I've done this and I've done that, and I know the transition, and I know, blah, 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 blah. And he
Yeah.
was like, not listening. Great. Start from the beginning.
I know, totally. We got through all the way to the transition. He's like, okay, your transition is good. Your elbows are in. Like, I just said that. I know.
Yeah, I know.
Also, none of that, because we filmed all of this, none of that's going in the video because nothing came of it. So this
Right.
is all
I know.
BTS talk because I'm never actually going to use any of that. My muscle up fail video is already way too long.
No, you need to just like animate yourself at the end of the video.
Yeah, just by the time I get a muscle up, AI will be able to make me do a muscle up with one prompt.
AI can already make art and vlog and blog. So vlogging is like right around the corner, right?
Yeah. Easy peasy.
Um,
So yeah, Max was getting some info about. Did you find at least his mobility tips useful?
no, I mean it was clear when I hang from a pull-up bar for too long, my shoulders just like ache, and it's not even too long. It's pretty quickly actually. And he was like, "That's probably a mobility thing, which means like you could do it like literally muscle a muscle up, but." He was like, "I would honestly like start working on a lot of other shoulder stuff first before you even, because it's important for a lot of other stuff, like all the other things I can't do, a snatch, an overhead press, or you know what I mean, handstand." So he showed me a couple stretches, but he didn't need to show me the stretches. He could be like, "Stretch your lats." I'm like this, yes, boom, done. You know, or like work your shoulder. So at that point, I was sort of, I guess I had like a. This was after our workout class, anyway. So I was
after our one beer, which
I had right.
destroyed my buzz.
It destroyed my buzz, and I was already like my limit of getting talked down to by other colleague adult level people.
Yeah.
I had reached my limit.
Although this wasn't like some random CrossFit gym you find when you're traveling and they just happen to get themselves an affiliate and they're unqualified and blah blah blah. This would be top tier. The people that are showing up to do the demos at CrossFit Semifinals have been vetted. So
yeah, that is true.
It's not getting much better.
I know. Well, it's not that they're not qualified. It's just the way they talk to you. I'm like, dude, I'm an adult person. I know. I don't know nothing. I don't know as much as you, but don't talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. Talk to me like I'm a freshman in college. Or
sure.
And that, I find that to be incredibly off-putting. I remember in college, my senior year, we had a new head coach on our team, and he had come from a high school program. It was his first year as a college coach, and he talked to us like we were high school freshmen. Now that's 13 years old, maybe 12 or 14, I'm not sure, but it's young. It's not 21, 22. And so he talked to us like we were idiots. And I was a senior, and I was like, dude, I cannot. Like he would just start and I would just check out. Like, dude, I can't listen to you. I'm sorry, I can't. This is not how I communicate. And it's hard because I should sort of get over myself and stop being so sensitive, I think. But it really just, I guess it's a pet peeve because it really just takes me out of the moment for sure. Especially when I'm trying to say like, yeah, dude, I know. Like, let me talk to you a little bit about. Let me display how much I know and where I do and don't have information, or where I do and don't know what I'm talking about. And then tell me what to do. But don't like, all right, well, did you tie your sneakers? We have to make sure your sneakers are tied. Okay, good. Upsy days. Like that's how it sounds in my.
A part of it is that it's not communication if they're not taking signals from you, right? They're only sending signals. That's not.
That's true.
Right?
That's a good way to put it. Thank you. I feel a lot better.
Also, she communicated to me in front of the whole class. Like she actively tried to embarrass me for testing the weight and said it to everyone.
Yeah. I don't know.
But then people still fist bumped me afterwards, so I guess we're still friends, so we're good.
Oh, definitely. There was a lot of fist bump. There was a lot of camaraderie. It was fun. It was a good group. Glad we went. Shout out to Chris for letting us.
Oh yeah, everybody, they got us the hookup as press passes. Max was saying, "Oh, we're pretty up close for the snatches. We're getting sweated on because we were in the press area in front of everyone. It was really cool.
And I'll never shower again."
Yeah, no, it was pretty awesome. Overall, 10 out of 10 experience.
Would definitely go back again. It was my closing thought. I thought it was hilarious that they said no water bottles, no backpacks, and every single person had a water bottle and a backpack.
Are you kidding me? They must have purchased them there at the vendor area.
Yeah, the one that says 1997. The backpack.
Yeah, exactly.
Coors Field, 1997. Yeah.
And man, I'm sure the games would be even crazier.
I know. That's got to be awesome. Crazy awesome.
That's the next level.
Yeah.
What do you know where they hold it? Is it different every year? Yeah.
I thought they were in Madison, Wisconsin pretty consistently. I thought they tried different years, and now it feels like they might have settled.
Well, they were originally in Madison, right?
I thought they moved around.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, so 2023 Madison. Should we go?
When is it? Tomorrow.
August 3rd to August 6th.
I mean,
we have to work out a whole lot to get to regional, to get to semifinals, and then to.
We did look. I did feel incredibly scrawny, puny, dinky, which is fine. I was ready to, but I didn't realize how many girls would make me feel like that. I suppose
Yeah, I mean, how cool though, being the dumbest person, least fit person in the room. Gotta get challenged.
I know. It was great. Well, I'm down to go again. That was super fun. I would suggest any of you guys who, like, if it's in your area, check it out. Or if you have the opportunity, check it out.
And do the throwdown too.
Do the throwdown. Get the t-shirt. I missed the t-shirt. I screwed up, but get them next year.
All right. And thank you to the fit heads.
I had one final question.
Oh, yes.
What do you think your mom would have thought of the event?
I meant to open this one with that statement that we forgot to talk about my mom in the last one. A freaking bummer.
But didn't we mention your mom? Well played. Didn't we mention your mom in the beer Murph?
Yes.
I feel like we did. It might not have made the final cut, but it's definitely in it.
No, it did. It did? Because we talked about math, and I was like, my math major mom is going to be watching this. Don't screw up.
Well, that counts. Also, what's a math major mom? Do you mean a math teacher?
Women can major in math. Did you know?
Well, she's not currently a math major. When she went to school, she was a math major, right? Is that what you mean?
Okay. A math degree.
Yeah, a certified mathematician.
Is that what it is? A bachelor of the fine art of math.
The noble art of mathematics. Anyway, I think she would have had a great time hanging out with you.
Go. Yes, had we brought my mom? Yes, maybe. She might have been a little rattled.
Yeah, a little too loud.
It's pretty loud. I did bring earplugs too. All right, shout out to my mom, shout out to the Pitheads. If you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts, that helps us out a whole lot, and we'll see you next week.